Hey, I'm Maddox, author of The Best Page in the Universe, the best comic in the universe, creator of the best show in the universe, and the best podcast in the universe, which is called The Best Debate in the Universe. You're welcome.
So we're on our way to meet with Maddox, the author of The Best Page in the Universe. If you've been on the internet for a long time, since the 90s, you've got to know who this guy is. He's a satirist. He's writing these rant articles on this really low-quality site that's been around forever. He's an all-around fascinating guy.
Is just a handshake, but a more intimate one, all right?
It's a handshake with your dick.
Yeah, it's a handshake. Thank you, David. It's a handshake with your dick or vagina.
So you made all of these things. They're all the best in the universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did you start doing all of it? The Best Page in the Universe was like the first thing you did,
Right.
How did you start doing this?
The Best Page in the Universe came from when I did this list of things that I hated, and I shared it with some friends on IRC, and they loved it. So I had this free web space, and I decided to throw some stuff up there. Originally, it was to spite my friends and family, and just to get a laugh out of my buddies who were chatting on this programmer website. And then it blew up overnight in like 2002, and one of my pieces went super viral, and tens of millions of people saw it. I got millions of hits per week overnight, and the traffic really never stopped.
How did you know that you were viral or bigger than anybody else?
So my website came from the 90s. In 1997, it still looks like it. It looks like shit. And because it came from this era, one of the things that was popular back then is putting website counters on your site. So the problem is, though, all the free counters out there, they break down once you hit a certain threshold of views. These counters are programmed and created for websites that get tens of views per day, maybe hundreds of views per day, but nowhere, not 1,000, and nowhere near millions. So they all start to break down. So I have a programming background, and I created my own counters myself, and kept very accurate track of that. And I had to find some very innovative ways to find the count, because it will overwhelm databases, it will overwhelm servers. That's part of the reason I think that on YouTube, the counters lag, because hitting a database constantly is, it's pretty taxing. It can be pretty taxing. I mean, YouTube, of course, they also have to worry about fake hits and that sort of thing. But anyway, that's how I kept track of the metrics for the counts on my website. I had that, and I also had the server access logs that my internet service provider provided me. Now, if I went off of their numbers, though, my numbers would be much, much bigger. They go off of page views and page counts. It's probably in the billions at this point, if I'm going off of page views. My counter, when I'm talking about million hits, I'm talking about just my front page alone. I'm not talking about page views. Yeah, not even the articles. The articles are hundreds of millions.
You don't do ads.
I don't do ads.
So how much money are you losing by not doing ads?
So that's a good question. Out of curiosity, one year, around April Fool's, I decided to throw an ad on one of my smaller websites. I have this website called The Saddest Caveman in the world, in the universe, whatever. And it's a picture of me wearing a wig. And I sent it to some friends a while ago, and they said I look like a sad caveman. So I threw this picture up there, started to create a little website about the saddest caveman in the world. And I threw up one Google ad on that website. And based on the money I made in one day, I'm leaving anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 per month in ad revenue. Yeah.
So what you're saying is that you're so successful, you spit on $5,000 to $10,000. I don't need it.
No, there's a lot of money being left on the table that I'm not touching for a number of reasons. First and foremost is principle. I believe that ads can cause self-censorship. Now, that's not to say that I never agreed to do advertising. I have a YouTube channel. There's ads on my YouTube channel. I have a podcast. I have ads on my podcast sometimes. And I also do ads in different formats. I've worked on a TV show that's going to be aired on a network or cable channel with ads on it. So I'm not opposed to ads in every medium. I just want to have at least one medium that is free from advertising, free from the specter of advertising and corporate influence, any temptation to censor myself.
So you're saying that your website's in the billions of views?
It's got to be. The last time I checked was about 12 years ago, and it had about 647 million views. Page views, yeah, yeah.
Are you still keeping it up? Are you still active on it?
Yeah, I've been kind of slow with my output on the website because I've been writing my third book. which is just about wrapped up here. So that'll anytime I write a book, my output drops significantly because I'm working on this huge project. Yeah.
Writing a book is difficult.
Yeah. For some people.
How old were you when you started doing all this?
When I started writing.
When you started the website and started doing this, like how old were you?
I was 16.
You were 16?
Yeah. I was 16 years old, literally in my parents' basement.
When you first started the site?
Yeah.
Wow.
That is the stereotype of the internet nerd sitting in his parents' basement writing angry rants. I was that guy. That's me.
And you're a gamer, right?
Yeah, I'm a huge gamer. I love gaming. That was one of the big motivations, actually, for starting my website and touching computers in the first place, is because I love video games and I wanted to learn how to program video games. Then as I got older, I learned how to program, became very proficient at that, got a job at a telemarketing company where I was a programmer for years. And I realized at some point that programming isn't how you make games. The type of things I wanted to do was design. Yeah. I wanted to design a game rather than program it. Programmers are more like the people who build the house, and then the designer is more like the architect.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you were early 20s, and at that point were you just like swimming in money and women, just like having all your friends?
No, man, I was a pretty big fucking nerd. I remember I got the phone call from my editor, who called me. He was in New York, so this had to have been around 1 or 2 a.m. his time, and it was around 9, 10 p.m. at night, maybe, in Utah when I got the phone call. But he was super excited. He said, I made it on the New York Times bestseller list, and he said, these are like early preliminary numbers, but we're pretty sure you're on the New York Times bestseller list. And he was super, super excited. I got a call or a text from my buddy Tucker Max, and he congratulated me. And then he said, what are you going to do to go out and celebrate? And I said the truth. I said, I'm going to a coffee shop to play Scrabble. And that's what I did. Not a big drinker, I'll have an occasional beverage. But I just went to a coffee shop and celebrated. I wasn't, it was very modest. I think I'm more of a stoic when it comes to celebration.
Yeah.
I'll celebrate when the check clears.
Now what are you doing? Now what's like the next big thing that's breaking, the internet?
What's interesting is now I am busier and working more than I ever have in my life. I have so many different projects under my belt, and they're all going. I'm just spinning these plates constantly. I have the podcast, as I mentioned. It's one of the biggest podcasts in the world right now. It's in the top 5%.
Wow.
The podcast is doing really well. So there's that. I'm doing video game streaming. That's live video game streaming I'm doing on Twitch and also YouTube occasionally. I'm doing my YouTube channel, the videos on my YouTube channel. I'm still writing for my website. I do freelance projects and then, things here and there. And I wrote for my first ever video game. I'm finally working. I finally come full circle. From where I started, what my goal was. Now I've finally been able to work on a video game that's going to be released on consoles soon.
Oh, right on. What is it? What's the game?
It's, I don't want to talk too much about it because it hasn't been announced yet. I mean, they did a trailer here and there, but as soon as it comes out, I'm going to promote the hell out of it. You guys, it's amazing. I'll tell you the concept. It's a virtual reality game. It's an arena-based virtual reality shooter made by this incredible team, and the technology behind it is badass. They originally hired me to just write a couple voices for a couple of characters, and they loved my stuff, and so they hired me to write the rest of the game, all the other characters.
Is this outside of the world of Maddox?
Yeah, it's outside of the world of Maddox. It has nothing to do with my Maddox stuff. Although, if you listen to the dialogue, you definitely know that I wrote it. But yeah, my website's very old. It's older than Google. Google was founded in 1998, I think. Their official search engine came out. My website started in 1997.
And it's still maddox.xmission.net.
.com, yeah.
.com. Okay.
But or the bestpageintheuniverse.com, that'll pull you there. When people ask me at parties and stuff, they always ask me for a card, and I don't have a fucking card. I don't give a shit. Don't go to my website. I don't care. I'm doing you a favor. That's the other thing. Here's something you should know, all right? I get all these like losers, these whiners, these crybaby idiots who dangle their fanship above my head like, oh, Maddox, you've changed, man.
Oh, yeah.
They say, oh, I'm going to stop reading your shit. I'm like, then do it. Why are you telling me? I didn't. They're like, oh, I'm done. And they explain that they've been fans for 10 years because it's always when I criticize something that they disagree with.
Yeah.
And then they threaten their fanship. It's so fucking manipulative. And these guys, they come to me like, oh, so I'm going to stop reading your website. And I'm like, guy, I didn't know who you were until you wrote this comment. You could have just stopped, right? I don't give a shit. Don't make this about you. If you're gonna stop reading, stop reading. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And that criticism, by the way, is almost as old as my website. I wrote an article in 2004, taking word for word an email I got from someone who's like, "Man, you used to be cool. I don't know what happened to you, dude. You've changed. You've definitely changed." And it's like, hope you get back to your roots someday. Yeah, it's the same bullshit.
But what it is people change.
People change. That's an important distinction, Tim.
Yeah.
Important to realize that because here's the thing. They come to me, they're like, "Oh, Maddox, you've changed." You're telling a guy who for 20 years out of principle has not put a fucking ad on his website that he's changed?
Yeah.
Fuck you. You've changed, shithead.
Look, we all change. We change a little bit.
Not me. I don't change at all.
Yeah, you're a frozen relic of the past.
I was born. You know what, Tim? I get your little subtext there. But I was born this way.
Yeah.
I was born bald and with a beard.
And a crown.
And a crown.
Came out.
I tore up everything.
Yeah. So, what should people check out then? What's like the most important project to you right now?
Honestly, the first answer is nothing. Don't. I don't give a shit.
go
Don't
to-
fucking. Don't read it. Don't watch my videos. You're not doing me a fucking favor. But how are we in such a weird fucked world where people come to you for free content? And then they act like they're doing you a favor. No, I'm the one doing you a favor. I'm entertaining you. So first of all, nothing. And then second, if you want to, in spite of just my haranguing of you to not check out my stuff, if you still want to after that, which I don't blame you if you don't, my YouTube channel, the best show in the universe. It's fantastic. I've recently started doing some animation on that. I've taken some clips from the podcast and started animating those. They've turned out incredible. I don't like to use I don't like to use my mouse. I hate using a mouse.
You do keyboard commands.
Keyboard commands
You're
for
old.
life. Old school keyboard commands. In fact, to the point where I still use batch scripts, which half these idiots watching, I'm sure, don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. A batch script. Why don't you Google it? It's basically a script that you run. It's just
Even script can be a bit too complicated for most people.
Well, but I do it all from command line. If I'm gonna rip a YouTube video or whatever, I'll do it from command line.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
Linux or Windows?
Yeah, here, I'll show you right now. Check this shit out. So let's say I'm gonna rip a YouTube video, right? So first we should pull up the browser. If you notice, I didn't use a mouse for that. It was all a keyboard command. So let's pull up my YouTube channel, right? All right, let's pull up one of these videos here. Let's say we're gonna rip this thing, right? Things I like to pee on.
I think I watched this one.
All right, so I copied the link address. I did use the mouse for that, but check this out. If I go to, let's see, I just typed this. This is a script that I wrote based on a program called YouTube-DL. Anyway, so here it is. I'm downloading the video from the command line.
Using.
It's all DOS. There it is. I mean, here it is. If you want to see the script, this is the script right here.
You wrote that.
Yeah, I wrote the script,
Yeah.
but the real workhorse here is this YouTube-DL executable. It's a program you can download. It's an open source program you can download. But then I wrote this wrapper for it. If you want to download just the MP3 file, if you want to rip just the MP3 file, yeah, it'll do entire playlists. It'll do the entire. It's an amazing piece of software.
Why don't you just click and download things?
Because that's bullshit, dude.
That's not enough.
Tim. Okay, if I'm gonna download 50 videos in a playlist, I don't have all fucking day to sit here clicking on shit. I just type one command and I walk out the door, right? Go on a hot date.
A hot date.
Yeah, she pays for dinner, and I come home and all my files are done downloading. Yeah, so we go Dutch. Check it out. Bam, alphabet of manliness.
Why is he wearing a mini skirt? What is that? Is that a mini skirt?
No, it's not a mini skirt, and maybe it is. I don't know. It's one of those. I looked it up. I forgot the name of it, but there's some Roman shit.
Do you feel that your book was offensive to gorillas? It depicts a gorilla being violent. We have no idea of who started this fight.
I would hope so. I did an interview a long time ago with a lady from, I think it was Salon or Slate, one of the two.
Yeah.
I forget which one,
Very
but
liberal, right?
yeah. And it was kind of a little bit of a gotcha piece, but she did, to her credit, publish the entire interview. But at one point she asked me if I thought my book was offensive to women, and I thought that was such a weird question to ask because I'm not a woman. I don't know. Yeah, and I asked her, I said, well, you're a woman. Are you offended? She said, no. I'm like, well, why, maybe you should tell me why you're not offended.
There you go.
I think that people recognize it as satire.
Yeah.
They know it is what it is, and it was published in the New York Times. On the front page of the style section of the New York Times, they published an article about my book and Tucker Max's and one other guy's drunk college humor website.
Oh, yeah.
Not College Humor, but another one. And they called the guy Warren St. John, the journalist from New York Times, coined a new word for this type of satire called fratire, is what they called it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is, I mean, I've never been in a frat, so.
Yeah, you're a nerd, you know? Yeah, that makes sense.
No, that's the thing about this book, Tim. The word beer does not appear in this book. This is not your father's manliness with like Corvettes, beer, golfing, guns, that sort of thing. This is a different generation of men. I got some emails from people who around the country from different college campuses who said that this book was assigned literature, assigned reading in some women's study classes, some feminist women's study classes. They said this was assigned reading.
Can we look at your podcast studio?
Sure.
Yeah. I was actually just sitting here recording with you.
Right.
But now you can explain to everybody else, like, you know.
Yeah, it's a pretty simple setup. At first, this was all temporary stuff. I never intended for this to actually become a studio. I thought, well, I'll set this up, for now until I can find a better place to record and set up different material, different equipment, that sort of thing. And then it turns out that the sound in this room is really great. People like recording here. The guests love it. It's just like the good atmosphere for it,
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. That's so I made this sign. I put this up at Comic-Con a lot of times. A lot of years when I go there. And then you've got a poster of my second book up here. You've got my homeboy Godzilla over here. Then check this shit out. Bam. You've got this is a Power Ranger made it's me as a Power Ranger basically. Yeah. So Rucka, Rucka, the podcast co-host, made a music video called Bro, I'm Armenian, and made me the star. At first he was like, hey man, is it cool if I use your picture in this video?
Armenian Maddox.
Yeah, he goes, can I use your likeness and your picture in this video? I said, yeah, go for it, thinking I was going to use it in a couple pictures here and there. I was like in almost every shot of this video, and it's a hilarious parody. You got to look it up. Bro, I'm Armenian on YouTube. And then so he made this Power Ranger of me. Not Rucka, but his friend did, yeah.
Where'd Maddox come from? Like the name?
Maddox came from an old anime I saw a long time ago called Maddox 01, and it was about a robot that fought tanks. Oh. And I thought it was pretty badass, I was 16 years old at the time, and I used it as my login name for my internet service provider. And I've had the same email address for over 21 years now. You
got the best page in the universe, the best podcast. You got some of the best books in the universe. Assuming aliens don't read books or podcasts, right?
Yeah, the new one's coming out soon. Sign up for the mailing list if you want to find out. I haven't even announced the title to the book. In fact, I'm working with an illustrator on the book. Even she doesn't know the title of my book. It's going to make you think. It's going to make you laugh. It's going to make you cry. And it's going to turn you on. Yeah, man, so that's a brief glimpse into who I am and my history. And for those of you who haven't listened to it yet, Tim appeared on an episode of the podcast, The Best Debate in the Universe. It's at madcastmedia.com. We'll link to it. Yeah, you should definitely listen to Tim's episode. It was a really hearty debate. We talked about whether or not violence is free speech. Very interesting. Yeah. So we go back and forth and we debate, and then the audience votes on which side of the debate is more persuasive. So I'm curious to see. Yeah, this will be a lot of fun. But Tim was a great guest on the podcast.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for having me on your YouTube channel.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. Your stuff has been awesome for a really long time. I mean, I think there's been some controversy because you take some of your stuff is kind of political.
Yeah.
But regardless of that, if all of you watching enjoyed this and you've checked out Maddox's stuff and you like my channel, subscribe. Comment below and let me know what you think about this, and then I will email him the comments of you shit-talking Maddox. So
please do.
So you can read them. You can follow me on Twitter at TimCast. Like and share the YouTube if you like it. Thanks so much for watching. Adios.
Alright, go ahead. Tell us what you had for breakfast.
I had blueberries and almonds. A very sensible breakfast.
Alright, well done.
Watching your figure?
No.